Welcome to Magic Twisting with Reality, and in this both performance and tutorial video actually I'll be performing and teaching you how to perform what I like to call the Crazy Joker. So this trick involves just an ordinary Joker. It is just a genuine ordinary Joker. There's no other Joker in the deck. The rest of the deck is a completely 52 card ordinary deck. You can count if you want and ask them to look at it. So now what I'm going to do is, before we start, okay, I just want to make it clear that the Joker is effectively the Magician's card. I mean, you know, you get 52 cards in a deck, but you always have 2 Jokers left over. And, of course, I don't want to make one of the 52 cards mine, because then, of course, they only have 51 cards to pick from, and, you know, it's probably best to leave it with 52. Nice number. So I've sort of taken on, the Joker's sort of taken the role to be the Magician's card for this trick, and it sort of fits the bill as well as the Joker. So, the Joker's the Magician's card, and say if I have 2 spectators for this trick, it does kind of require 2. So say if you've got spectator 1 over here, and spectator 2 just over here. Okay, so it starts pretty much by picking a card. So the first spectator can pick any card they want, it's a completely free choice. And spectator 2 can do the same, pick any card, it's a completely free choice. They can actually sign the cards. I'm not going to because it will ruin the cards, and I personally don't want to ruin these cards. So they pick 2 cards. And once they have their cards, we're going to place them on the table just like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the Joker to remember the position exactly of the cards. So if I turn over the 4 of spades, spectator 1's card, remember the position. Spectator 2's card, the 3 of spades, remember the position. And also the Joker, remember the position. So now that they remembered, what we're going to do, we'll start off with first, is by taking spectator 1's card, the 4 of spades, and just by sticking about halfway in the deck, that should be about fine. And just sticking that in there, and just giving the deck some cuts. And doing the exact same thing with spectator 2's card, just taking their card, the 3 of spades, and just sort of just poking about the middle, that should be about fine. And just sort of sticking it about in the middle of the deck, that should be about good. Okay? So just stick it in the middle of the deck, both of them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them find their cards one at a time by using the Joker, okay? So we start with the Joker to find spectator 1's card. I believe it was the 4 of spades, perhaps. I can't remember. That's brilliant. They're both exactly the same cards, pretty much. That helps. So I ask them just to take the Joker, just like that, and just to stab it in whenever they want. So I riffle down the deck and say they stab it in right there. Okay, so I split the deck right there and ask them to hold the Joker for me. Right, so bear in mind that they could actually have stopped at the 10 of spades, sorry. They could actually have also stopped at the Queen of Hearts. But lo and behold, they actually stopped at their card, the 3 of spades. Oh no, the 3 of spades, yeah, sorry, the 3 of spades was spectator 2's card. Right. Okay, spectator 1 just found spectator 2's card. That's fine, I'll go along with it. So, spectator 1's found spectator 2's card, spectator 2 could find spectator 1's card. I mean, why not? Okay. I mean, you know, I suppose that does still kind of work. So once again, I'll just take the Joker, okay, and just give it to them and ask them to stab it in whenever they want. I'll riffle down the deck and say they stab it in right there, for instance. I'll ask them to hold the Joker for me and keep the deck splitted. So bear in mind, they could actually have stopped at the Ace of Diamonds or the 9 of Hearts. But before I show them this card, watch, if I just snap my fingers just like that, I can actually revert the position to turn their card into the Joker. Spectator 2's card, or the Joker, into the 3 of spades. And what was the 3 of spades into spectator 1's card, the 4 of spades. So effectively what I've done is reset the position. I've turned their card, which was lost in the deck, into the Joker. I turned what they were holding, which was the Joker, into their card, which was here, which now been turned into spectator 1's card. Quite confusing, but that's kind of why I decided to call the trick Crazy Jokers, or the Crazy Joker. Just because it is a bit confusing, but also pretty magic at the same time if you sort of keep it, sort of slide down the pace and everything. It sort of is quite hard hitting as well. It's probably mostly due to the fact it didn't seem quite strengthy, it's mostly just because they're so similar, and that's probably mostly the reason why. And I went pretty quick. So, I'm going to show you how it's done now, because I haven't really done many tutorials and I think this is quite a nice one to do, and not too difficult as well. It does just involve a couple of moves. So if you don't want to figure out how it works, don't want to know how it works, you can stop the video now and stop watching. It is a brilliant trick. to know, very fun. But if you do want to know how it works, I'll tell you right now. So you do use an ordinary deck, 52 card deck. So you can use any deck of cards, perfectly fine. Most decks come with a joker, and it is just one ordinary joker, so really you can do this with any new deck of cards that you've just bought which come with a joker, that's fine. You can throw the joker away if you would like. So they can pick out any 2 cards they want, it is a free choice. So say they picked 4 of clubs and try a different card this time, Queen of Spades, lovely. So they can sign it, so 4 of clubs and the Queen of Spades. Okay, and the Joker's my card. You can sort of give a story about how the Joker's sort of effectively a 53rd card, which the Magician's sort of taken on the role as their card to leave the 2 spectators with 52 cards to choose from. So you can sort of do a thing is sort of remembering the position, which is sort of what happens at the end. They sort of jump back to where they should be, but remembering the position and also the Joker, remembering the position. So you can do that if you want, or you can just sort of get straight to it. So what I would do at this point is I would take Spectator 1's card and stick it about in the middle of the deck, just like that, and clearly show that it's in the middle of the deck. And this is to emphasise in a second, because in a second you're not going to be sticking it in the middle of the deck, but you want them to think that you are, and that's emphasised by you actually showing them that you are this time. So I'll sort of get into that in a second. So you take Spectator 1's card and you stick it in the middle, or slightly lower, it doesn't really matter, just like that, sort of leave it half sticking out. And as you push in the card, I'll sort of come around to the side. As you push in the card, just like that slowly, you sort of also push down and sort of bend it down slightly. So when you push it in, you sort of create a little gap there, sort of elevate the top half slightly. And that then allows you to come across with your right little finger and just get a break right there. So that's above the card, their card. And once you've got that break, you can then take off half the cards on top, place them on the table, place the rest of the cards above the break onto the table, and place what's left in your hand, so their card is here, place that on the table. So what you're doing is that's just one method to force their card onto the top of the deck. So I'll show you that again. It's probably one of the easiest moves you do in this. So you stick it in the middle. As you push it in, you push down as well, sort of elevating and the top half, creating a gap above the card, which you can get a break with. Pick up half the cards on top and put it on the desk or at the table. Put everything above the thing, so pretty much just stick your left finger sort of in the gap. Put everything on top on the table and everything left on top. So that's just how you can force their card to the top. There are various other methods you could do. You could sort of, do sort of the underpass or whatever you want really. But that's just a nice easy method to do, sort of fairly simple to get their card to the top. And you can do a false shuffle if you want. I don't really. I go straight to Spectator 2's card. And how I stick this in is I don't know the name of this move. I've completely forgotten the name at the moment. I think I should have to do it in another video, slightly more in depth. But you sort of elevate the top card, sort of get sort of a break under the top card, and sort of elevate it up. Not much, only probably by about 1 centimetre. Not much really. That's perfectly fine. About 1 centimetre, probably less, maybe. But 1 centimetre is probably about perfect. And from the front, sort of keep the front end sort of flat, so it sort of looks normal from the front, or normal-ish at least. Doesn't have to look too bad. Sort of like that should be fine. They won't see because your thumb will be covering this. Your thumb will be covering that huge gap with just like that. So your thumb will be covering that, and you're sort of keeping it elevated with the part of your thumb there, and your little finger just sort of keeping a large break there under the top card. And once it's elevated, you can sort of lean the deck down. So then even people behind you, it looks normal. They can't see the gap. And then once you step it down, sort of poke around the middle, sort of stick out a few cards in the middle to make it look a bit more realistic. Sorry. And this is what I mean. You're actually just sticking it like this, just like that. So you're sticking it under the top card. But from this perspective and from the front, it can look, from depth perception, it can look like it's in the middle of the deck or going into the middle of the deck if it's squared up nicely. But of course you're only sticking it in the second position, so you can sort of just stick that in. But if it's leaned upwards, it can sort of cover it from a few people from the sides, better angles, and even if they're right in front of you sort of looking down, then to them as well it can sort of look pretty good as well as that's going into the middle. And then sort of slowly sort of push that in, just like that, and then just sort of gently sort of just lower the top card just as you're bringing the deck back down. So I'll show that one more time pretty quickly. I think I've done it a bit more in depth into another video. So you raise the top card just like that, sort of keeping that break there, sort of keep it elevated with the 3 cards and the thumb, the back of the thumb. Poke around the middle, raise the deck sort of like that, sort of not much, but probably about 55 degrees should be fine, and then just sort of stick it in the second position and just sort of stick it in right there. Don't stick it in at the top because then it'll be obvious that it's right at the top. Stick it in fairly near the bottom, just like that, sort of create a sort of shadow there as well will help. And then you can just sort of push that in, just like that. And then just as you're bringing the deck down, sort of gently drop that top card. So they think you've stuck the Spectator 1's card in the middle of the deck, given it a few cuts, stuck Spectator 2's card in the middle of the deck, whereas actually what you've got is Spectator 1's card on top and Spectator 2's card right underneath it. That's your setup. Spectator 2's card, Spectator 1's card. And once you're set up, you're pretty much done of the mainly difficult moves. So there's one more, which I'll get into just now. So you can now start by taking the Joker and turning it face down, and telling Spectator 1 to stab the Joker in whenever they want, to riffle down and stab the Joker in. Split the deck above the Joker, so it's just like that, sort of opening it up like a book. Tell them to hold on to the Joker, or just sort of just drop it on drop it onto the table face down, just like that, would be fine. And now this is another move. This is probably the most difficult move, kind of, but at the same time it's sort of fairly easy to get to grips with. So once the deck's sort of split open like this, what you want to do is get with your little finger, the ring finger and the middle finger, and just sort of get sort of the first joint sort of over the side or over the corner of the top half of the deck, and sort of push down and sort of keep a nice sort of apply pressure on that top half. Because what you're going to do is you're going to come along with your other hand and with your middle finger and thumb pinch or sort of grab the top part of that half, so just grab it there just like that, and as you're sort of pulling away this top half, you're sort of with the 3 fingers grabbing that top card and keeping it and dragging it down just like that. So you're sort of peeling off the top card, and very quickly as you sort of turn this half round, push that in just like that and point to this Ace of Diamonds. So really what you're doing is you're sort of splitting it halfway down, and effectively what you're doing is just taking the top card and putting it there and telling them that's it. But a nice way to cover it is like I just said, just sort of pushing it down, and as you're peeling it down you turn your right wrist and point to that card, saying you could have stopped at the 7 of clubs. As you're turning them both back round, peel off the top card and hold on to it just like that with your first finger, that's fine. And turn over the second and say you could also have stopped at the Jack of Diamonds. And then just sort of square everything up, just like that. And you could show Spectator 1 that they've stopped at their card, but this is the crazy Joker, so you don't want to do that. You want to make them think they've stopped at the second person's. So you do a double lift. So just sort of get a pinky break under the top 2 cards, do a double lift, and say, oh, wait, you've actually stopped at Spectator 2's card. Okay, we can work with that, and then you just turn over the double lift again, and say, tell you what, you can hold on to Spectator number 2's card, and you've actually put off the top cards, so you've given them their own card. You've really just shown the Spectator 2's, and then just given them their own. But sort of keep it face down so they think they've got Spectator 2's, and go, right, okay then, number 2, you can find number 1's card, that'll still look pretty good. So then what you do is you take the Joker and turn it face up and put it on the deck. And now what I do is I do the butterfly switch, I believe it's called, or something like that, the butterfly move, something like that. I'll put a link to Disturb Realities, How to Disturb Realities, and also 52 cards tutorials, because they've got very in-depth tutorials and it's brilliant. But basically what you're doing is you've sort of got a break under the top 2 cards, coming along with the other hand, and sort of sticking in the sort of your whole 4 fingers, sort of in that break, and just sticking a few millimeters worth, very not much, like really only just the tips of the 4 cards, and just sort of stick them in there, sort of fairly even from the centre, just like that, and just stick your thumb in the middle on the top, so you've got sort of a nice firm grip. So you just stick them in there, and then what we do is, as you peel off the 2 cards, just like that, drag them over to the very end, and then what you do is at this point, you sort of, with your 4 fingers, peel off the back card and let go of your thumb, so effectively you're shooting that Joker back onto the deck. And very quickly it will look as though you've taken the Joker and you're turning it face down. Whereas actually, you're effectively just doing the old sort of switch, just like that. That's what you're doing, really, but it sort of looks slightly better. So you sort of got a double lift here, you sort of stick the 4 fingers in with your thumb, drag them over to the side, and sort of, as you sort of bend it back, just like that, you sort of peel back with your 4 fingers and let go of your thumb. And the Joker shoots back onto the top of the deck, fairly squared up, and this is now face down. They think it's the Joker, whereas it's actually their card. And keep it face down, make sure you go right, just take the Joker face down, and hopefully they should pinch it and just sort of keep it face down. And just stab it in whenever you want, so you stab it in. And then just sort of tell them to hold on to the Joker, or drop it carefully onto the table. You don't want to show that it's not the Joker. So you sort of drop it onto the table, put it where their card should be, just to emphasise later, and then you do the old sort of, you know, peeling off the top card, turning, showing that they could have also stopped the centre parts. And then what you do is, before you show the card, put it on the table, so they think this is theirs, and they think they're holding the Joker. Snap your fingers, and show that the Joker has jumped back into its position. They'll turn over thinking, wait, I had the Joker. They'll turn over and realise it's their card, and go, hang on, I thought you had my card and that. And then spectator 1 will turn over what they thought was this card, and reveal that it was actually theirs. So sort of it has sort of gone back to how it was at the very beginning. That was probably a bit fast. You could probably rewind it and sort of go over it. It's sort of not too difficult to get to grips with. It's mostly just a few different moves. Like I said, I will put a link to 52 cards tutorial on the butterfly move, which is this one, when you sort of shoot the card back onto the deck, just like that. I'll put a link to that. That's probably one of the most advanced ones in this trick, along with a few others, like where you elevate the top card. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Crazy Joker, it's a very fun trick to do. Mostly, I think the best part about it is that it's very confusing, as well as being very magical. Like, they shouldn't have gone back to how they were, but it was also slightly confusing. It didn't make much sense, so it sort of, it works like that as well, which makes the sort of performance and the effect much more powerful. And it can also be done with an ordinary deck, 52 card deck, with a Joker, which almost every deck comes with. And I've lost the Joker, there he is. So that just makes it even that much better and easier for you to perform. So thank you for watching. That was the Crazy Joker. Please like, comment and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next time.